U.S. History students, welcome to the recording for the Week 4 quiz. I'm going to go ahead and read through each of the questions along with the answer options. Question 1. Who wrote the first draft of the Declaration of Independence? John Adams, Samuel Adams, George Washington, or Thomas Jefferson? Question 2. What influence did English philosopher John Locke have on the Declaration of Independence? Locke argued that government should protect people's natural rights of life, liberty, and property. Thomas Jefferson was in communication with John Locke before the committee met to write the Declaration. Locke had formed a British Committee for Independence, which the American Committee patterned itself after. Very little, because Locke urged complete loyalty to the British King and recommended voicing any complaints to Parliament. Question 3. According to the Declaration of Independence, all of the following truths are self-evident, except governments get their power from the people, all people are created equal, people have the right to liberty, people have the right to refuse to pay taxes. Question number 4. Which of the following was a weakness of the British during the American Revolution? They had decades of fighting experience. Their soldiers were less familiar with the physical terrain and geography than the Continental soldiers. They had a very weak and inexperienced navy. They had very little supplies and financial backing for the war. Question number 5. Which of the following was a weakness of the colonial army during the American Revolution? Knowing the geography and terrain of the area they are fighting on, having a reason and will to fight for something they believed in, not having the money to pay for war supplies and soldiers, having a common goal of protecting their families' homes and cities. Question 6. Why were the battles of Trenton and Princeton so important for Washington and the Americans? Huge numbers of British soldiers lost their lives. Americans were able to capture supplies that were necessary for the long winter. They gave Americans confidence that victory over Britain was possible. They established the state of New Jersey as an American stronghold. Question 7. Colonial victory at this battle helped get the French support for their colonial army. Charleston, Cowpens, Saratoga, Savannah. Question 8. Why was the period that the colonial army spent at Valley Forge known as the darkest hour of the American Revolution? The army dealt with disease, bitter cold, and lack of supplies during the long winter spent at Valley Forge. The British Army captured George Washington while he was camped at Valley Forge. The colonial army was preparing to surrender to the British while they were at Valley Forge, or the colonial army lost French support because of their defeat at Valley Forge. Question 9. What was the role France played in the American Revolution? They organized Native American groups against the British. They provided arms and ammunition to British soldiers. They sent commanders to train the Continental Army in winter camps, or they sent much-needed financial and naval support, as well as military advisors to the colonists. Question 10. What happens at Yorktown on October 19, 1781? Colonists surrender to the British Army. British surrender to the colonial army. The British surrender to the colonial army, or the British surrender to the French army. Looking at this, let's go back to question 10 here. We are noticing that B and C are the same answer option. So what we're going to have you do is have colonists surrender to the British Army as the first option. British surrender to the colonial army as the second option. Change this one to colonists surrender to the French army. So again, option C would be colonists surrender to the French army. And then British surrender to the French army. Which one of those answer options would be correct? After you finish question number 10, please submit quiz and make sure that the score is showing up in your gradebook.